God created this planet. He created several species. Now, if you're an atheist, it's okay. Call it the force. Let me just say God for now, so I don't have to say God, the force, God, the force. Let's just say God right now. God creates the planet Earth. And first of all, he creates, which a lot of people in different organizations want, a perfect social economic world where everything is free, you don't worry about a thing, you're taken care of. There's no extra imagination necessary because it's all going to be given to you. So he creates the oyster. He says, oyster, I'm giving you a free house to live in. I'm calling it a shell. I'm going to put it at the bottom of the ocean to protect you from your enemies. You have food, clothing, all the food you want, protection, everything you want, the perfectly taken care of while you're in your measly little life as an oyster, but you're not going to go anywhere. You stay there at the bottom of the ocean, but you're totally got your free food, free clothing, free everything you want. Then God created something called the eagle. Eagle, whole different species. Eagle, you want a house, you go out and build it. Take the top of a mountain, take the top of a tree. Go out and build your own house. You want some food to eat? No problem. Go out there and find an eagle. And the eagle flies through miles in the wintertime of rain, sleet, snow, and wind just to feed its young. Did you know the eagle fails 95% of the time? A total failure. It's so big and cumbersome that when it comes upon its prey, they're wild. They shoot off in a different direction. And it misses. 5% of the time it succeeds. And what does it succeed to do? It succeeded to be the strongest bird in the sky. The only one that we know of anywhere in the world that could fly into the thermals of a hurricane and ride them to have fun. Now the eagle, unlike the oyster, can go anywhere it wants. Anywhere it wants. Yeah, it gambles, it does this on its own, but it goes wherever it wants. Now that eagle, and not the oyster, is the emblem of America, and also on the flag of many, many countries. You wouldn't be in this room right now if you weren't eagles. Don't only imagine, start doing it. Thank you, Pete.
Attitude has been called the most important word in any language in the world, because it's our attitude toward our world, toward all the people in it, that will determine the world's attitude and all the people's attitude toward us. It's a simple thing, most of us know it, but we tend to forget it. People will react to us according to our attitude. And our attitude is the greatest gift we can be given. You know, the little creatures of the world were given a wonderful gift by Mother Nature called protective coloring, in which they can blend into their background without being seen. But man was not given this great gift, because man was given an incalculably greater one. Only man has the godlike power to make his surroundings change to fit him, because his environment will change as he changes. A man's environment is a merciless mirror of him as a human being. And if he thinks his environment can stand a little improvement, all he has to do is improve, and his environment will improve to reflect the changing man.
Essentially, and I would say this to anybody, is that, you know, it's really, it's easy to embrace hopelessness when things seem insurmountable. And yet, it's actually just a matter of time until all of the elements come together for things to be all right. I mean, I believe that, you know, most difficult situations will resolve themselves if you are persistent and if you don't give up entirely. And that's what I never did. I never gave up.
6 a.m. I was up outside running in the freezing cold. It is currently 9 p.m., 9 o'clock at night. Tomorrow morning, I also have to get up at 5:30 in the morning. But I didn't shoot a vlog today, I didn't shoot a video, which is fine, taking days off is fine, but I shot this morning, which meant I started something. So if I didn't do a vlog today, it would have meant starting something and not finishing something. And in my book, that's not okay.
If you're looking to instigate a change in your life, there's no better or worse time than right now. Hey, I understand. Change is scary. With the status quo, you know what you've got. If you shake things up, there's no telling what you might end up with. But two other things are true about change. One, it's absolutely necessary for personal growth, and two, it's gonna happen. Either you can pick the time to instigate the change you want, or the change and the time will pick you. So if you happen to be one of those people who's standing on the sidelines of your dreams, waiting for that perfect moment, if you want to make that change, but you just don't know if you're ready, this life lesson is for you. It's time to stop digging your potatoes and jump.
Your present or past results have absolutely nothing to do with what's going to happen from this point forward. Now, that was the point that Roy Stanford drilled into my head. You see, I kept thinking, well, gee, I'm such a mess up. You know, I've done everything wrong up till now. I'm 26, I'm broke, I'm not happy. Everything was wrong. He said, Bob, that's all in the past. He said, every moment is a new moment. We shouldn't condemn ourselves. And he said, what you were yesterday, you paid for. What you are today, you decide upon. That's exactly what your word's saying. This power in no way is limited by precedent. Even in a creative state, we sometimes don't understand that. Do you know why airplanes, right up to today almost, have wings on them? Because birds have wings. Birds fly, they have wings. If you're going to get a plane to fly, you got to put wings on it. Do you? No. We've got planes flying without wings today. You know why? Never did need wings. But you see, the thinking was, to a degree, limited by precedent. Birds fly with wings, planes have to have wings. Planes do not have to have wings. You're creative. If you can visualize it, you can do it. It doesn't matter what it is. That's what Hill said. Anything the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve.
The nature of capitalism is that people want to come in and take your castle. It's perfectly understandable. I mean, if I'm selling television sets or something, there's going to be 10 other people that are going to try and sell a better television set. If I have a restaurant here in Omaha, people are going to try and copy my menu and give more parking and take my chef and so on. So capitalism's all about somebody coming and trying to take the castle. Now, what you need is you need a castle that has some durable competitive advantage, some castle that has a moat around it. And that moat, one of the best moats in many respects is to be a low-cost producer. But sometimes the moat is just having more talent. I mean, if you're the heavyweight champion of the world and you keep knocking out people, you've got a competitive advantage as long as you can keep doing it. And it's very profitable if you're the one that happens to be able to do it. If you can turn out great motion pictures, I mean, you know, Steven Spielberg, I mean, he's a fellow to bet on, and it has enormous economic value.
Essentially, the beliefs that you hold about yourself, about your capabilities, about money, whether you have beliefs that attract money to you or that repel money, whether that you have beliefs that allow you to move through barriers and obstacles, or beliefs that cause you to shy away from barriers and obstacles. And the beliefs that we have really control our actions. We don't typically go at things or do things that we believe we're not good at. We don't take actions if we think we're going to fail. We shy away, and then of course we don't say that we're scared. We come up with a story. So the sort of these negative, these limiting beliefs instigate the telling of bullshit stories to ourselves, right? And it holds us back from success. So the idea is to understand what your core limiting beliefs are, and then to actually break those beliefs. And you can do that. It's not that difficult to do it. Do it in a seminar setting. You break the limiting beliefs and you essentially empower somebody by helping them install their own beliefs in themselves. In other words, your beliefs are malleable. You can change them. So the idea is to essentially retrofit your beliefs to serve you and your outcomes. In the case of entrepreneurs, it's that money is not the root of all evil, that building a business is possible, that I can learn whatever I need to know, those sort of beliefs.
Most of us have undersold ourselves at a very deep level, whether it be how much passion we really could have in our life, whether it be how vitally healthy we could be.
I agree.
And so what's happening is everyone has that, including me. So I look for those coaches. I believe who you are is who you spend time with. That the quality,
who you are is who you spend time with.
Yeah, who you spend time with is who you become. Because whoever you spend time with affects your beliefs and your values, and your need for their love, their attention, their significance will affect. If I'm going to play tennis and I play someone worse than I am on a regular basis, I am not going to get better.
Right. So you play with Agassi.
Yeah, you do that. Even if you play terrible, your skill sets are going to grow significantly because of your desire to connect and to play at that level. So I personally believe mentoring is the biggest thing missing from our society. A huge part of what I do in terms of my foundation's work is mentoring for kids, because people say, well, we should do something about the values of the family. Well, that's a nice discussion, but the thing you can do is a relationship with a child where you just care about him. You don't have to be the most skilled person. You don't have to be perfect. All you got to do is care and be honest. Transforms a child's life. And most children today have more choices than any time in human history and the least amount of guidance that's ever existed. And that's why we have a crisis where we have kids picking up guns and shooting people because we don't have that.
So go give me the Robin solution. I agree with you 100%. So tell me what it is that America should be doing for its children, and if it's mentoring, how do you go about it?
There are lots of
What's the
way
mechanism? What's the process?
There's lots of them. I mean, you could just, as an individual, you can go out and have a lunch buddy. You can take somebody and say, for the next 6 months, I'm going to take this child out twice a month for lunch and just talk and maybe do a field trip of fun with them. My solutions, I like to look at systems. I look at it and say, mentoring will never pervade the culture unless it's team mentoring, because you can't get enough mentors. There are lots of kids that want them and they can't get them. So team mentoring will take it to scale.
Angry, pissed off, negative, unresourceful state, you can't do anything well. You've had one of those days, for instance, where everything you're doing, you're like, I can't believe I said that, I can't believe I did that, I'm such a fool, right? You had that day? We've all had that day.
Yeah.
Next day, similar situation, you're like, wow, you know, that was me, I did a really great job, right? You were perfect. So one day you're brilliant, next day, same situation, you're brutal. That's not talent, that's not ability, that's the state that you're in. So the key to success is not just A, to have your vision, but to be able to manage the way you feel in the moment. Now, if you're a parent, what's the most resourceful state? Patience. If you're a businessman looking to make money on Wall Street, it's probably certainty or courage, because fear is the worst emotion of all for being a trader on Wall Street. So every business has different states that you need to master. Now, in most businesses, in matters of wealth, there's three states that you need to master to be able to trigger at a moment's notice. And it's easy to do once you learn how, which is what I teach people, okay? And number one is certainty, to be certain about what you're doing. The second one is clarity. To be clear, to not to be overwhelmed, which the opposite would be overwhelmed. And the third is courage, is to have a conviction, to know that you might not be right all the time, but you're not gonna let fear stop you. Because if there's one distinction that between the wealthy people of the world and the poor people of the world, is that wealthy people act in the face of fear, while poor people run away from fear.
Agreed.
We were forced in the beginning. I wish I could say we were geniuses and say we're going to start our own company. You know, that's not what happened. You know, in the beginning, we went to every single label, and every single label shut their door on us. The genius thing that we did was we didn't give up. We didn't say, because these guys, you know, we use that what do they know approach. You know, we didn't give up at that point. I think that that was the genius thing we did. We started selling our own CDs and we built our own buzz, and then the record company came back to us. So now we had a different negotiation. You know, it wasn't the same artist label relationship. Now we retain ownership in our own company, and it was the best thing for us.
When I was 8 years old, I was delivering papers door to door, knocking on doors, expanding a paper route. When I was 12 years old, I was shoveling driveways after snowstorms in New York. Make $20 a driveway after a big snowstorm. I hit it big for the first time when I was 16, selling ices on the beach, blanket to blanket to blanket.
Wow.
And that's how it started. And after that, I was hiring people to come work. We had 12-year-old kids selling puka shell necklaces for me. My mother was buttering bagels in the morning, and that was really the way I always was moving towards life, looking for
16.
If you're convinced that you're going to fail or fall or get hurt, that will come to fruition because that's what you're visualizing. I never I was willing to get hurt along the way, but I didn't visualize myself getting hurt along the way. And I think that's what stops a lot of people, and that's really what separates a lot of people from being world champions or from being as good as they can, because they stop at some point saying, oh no, I am not capable of this, or I'll probably get hurt doing this. And if you approach anything with that hesitation, you're gonna fail. I always approached it like, this is going to work. I'm going to figure this out, even if it takes me hundreds of attempts. And I wasn't, the idea of falling and getting back up again, that didn't really bother me at all.
Choose something that you do that you love, that you're passionate about. And that's like a cliche, but it's true. There's many, many ways to make money in this world. It's easy to get rich. It's not hard, it's easy. That's one of the best kept secrets in the world. It's easy to make a lot of money. But you can make money in ways that, are easy and fun. It's part of your system, right? Easy, lucrative, fun, right? And you can make money in ways that are a real pain in the ass, where it's hard work, it doesn't empower you, it doesn't inspire you. So number one is choose something that's gonna feed your spirit. It's gonna feed your soul and inspire you.
I got on stage the very first time when I was 8 years old. I was brilliant. Then I got on stage again 4 years later when I was 12, brilliant again. So by the time I was 13, it was pretty much a foregone conclusion in everybody else's mind, teachers, parents, that acting was going to be my thing. I hadn't made a conscious decision I'm going to be an actor. I don't think you do. I think you just, that's what you do.
Every gym had a set way of doing things. Don't do it this way, do it that way. So that was just a normal thing that I thought just people just have their own set way and you must do it that way. You must stand this way, you must kick this way, you must punch this way. But with John, when I went to John, and I met my coach John Cabinet at Straight Blast Gym, it wasn't like that. He had a more open mind and he encouraged different movements. And I'd never experienced that before. I'd never heard a coach say that to me before. And that stuck in my head. I thought to myself, this guy is thinking outside the box, you know what I mean? That he has a vision that everything works and he encourages every movement because ultimately there is a time and a place for every single move. So I just knew when I met John and when he spoke, it made complete sense to me. And that was it. I stuck with him and he stuck with me and the rest is history.
We all fail. We've all failed. Like, my parents haven't been killed, my child, there's people that have their children die. Like, could you imagine? Like, the idea, listen, unfortunately or fortunately, depends on how one wants to look at it, I'm a pretty optimistic guy. I lost 3 of my 4 grandparents before I knew them. 2 before I was born and 1 very early on. So, it's easy for me to be happy. I have my in the right order. The health and well-being of my family. And there's nothing even remotely close to that. Not even remotely. People have gotten through much worse. This is why I'm trying to recall our grandparents and our great-grandparents. People were persecuted and killed. We do not have real headaches. I don't know why I have this highly emotional and then completely unemotional part of me, but I mix them together to create the balance, and that's what works for me. So of course there's nothing that I couldn't get up from. Like every other human ever besides somebody who now lives in some weird cave that we don't know about. You know what I mean? I do. We are strong as shit. We're really strong. We're just being sold that we're not, because there's a lot of money in telling us that we're not pretty enough, thin enough, smart enough, good enough. That. I want to tell you, you're the best. Go do shit.
Stay in front of the competition, because there's 2 ways in this industry. You move with it or it moves you. And I've seen so many sad stories across the decade where chefs have just got lazy, given up and lost that hunger to be competitive because it's the best job in the world. That's not really a job, it's a passion. Because when you're rubbing shoulders, and here we are now, 10 years later, and I've got a restaurant next door to Jamie Oliver's, and we're both literally 2 meters apart. Phenomenal chef, and we keep each other on our toes. So that's exciting for me.
In my mind as a young guy, I wanted to become world-class at something. I just had to find out what the something was going to be. And the very first time that I walked into a Wall Street trading room, I knew this is it. The ticker tape is rolling, the phones are ringing off the hook, people are screaming and shouting out orders, bodies are flying all over the place, and what looked like chaos to anybody else, I could see the natural rhythm in it. It was like I was reading a sheet of music, and I knew this is where I'm supposed to be. I kept coming back. I wore one branch manager down to the point that he says to me, Gardner, based on persistence alone, we're gonna give you a shot. Man, I quit my job. That was all I wanted. I went home and I told my ex, you know what? You said I couldn't do it, but guess what? I start in 2 weeks.
Family comes first. My child always came first. If you've managed your relationships properly, the business presentation you're so concerned about, the big conference call that cannot happen without you on the phone, all those things can be rescheduled. But your son is going to have one first baseball game. Your daughter's going to have one first dance recital, and you got to be there. In a tie, family wins.
And when I talk about standards, when I talk about, shoulds versus musts, think about your own life. I know there have been areas in your life where some point in time you just shifted and you raised the standard and your life changed. Because whatever people have their identity attached to, they live. We live who we believe we are. That's just how it works. It's just kind of like, I'll give you an example. Look at your physical body. Your physical body today is an absolute reflection of only one thing, not your goals, not your desires, but your standards. The identity you have for yourself. If your standard is you're an athlete, then there's a certain amount of strength, a muscle tone, and energy that's available in your body on a regular basis because that's who you are. And so you do whatever's necessary to maintain that identity. Again, the strongest force in the human personality is this need to stay consistent with how we define ourselves. Because if you don't know who you are, you wouldn't know how to act. Once you lock in on that identity, your brain finds a way to keep you there. If you say, man, I'm overweight, I've always been overweight, I'm big boned, and that's the story you got, then you're gonna always find a way to get back there. That's your settling point. That's your identity. That's where things lock in. If you see somebody who's in really great shape, you ask them, do you work out? You know the answer. Yes, how often? And they'll tell you 3 times, 4 times, 5 times a week, whatever. In a seminar, I'll ask people, who here works out at least 5 days a week? And I'm stand up. And you look around that room, and you know that they work out 5 times a week because you can see their body. You don't just get a result without some kind of action, without some form of ritual. Ritual meaning actions you do consistently. Now, do you think those people that are out there working out 5 days a week, do they have more time than you do? Or I have, or anybody else? Of course not. Is their life less busy? Of course not. It's just a must for them. They must work out that way, and they've made that turn and their life changed. So I'm not saying you have to work out 5 days a week. I'm just saying whatever you really want, wants don't get met consistently. Standards do. Whatever you identify, this is who I am. And so it's not so much about changing your identity as there's expanding it. Deciding that, instead of your goal is to lose 10 pounds, which is not compelling, what if your vision was to get back to my fighting weight? This year, this month, this next 90 days, I'm gonna transform my body. I'm gonna take on a new challenge. I'm gonna find some technique or strategy, there's a million of them, that can reframe myself where I want to feel younger, stronger, more vibrant than ever before. Here's my reasons. Because I want the energy to really make my life work. Because it's tough out there and I want to be stronger than I've ever been before. I want to go in front of the mirror and if I'm naked, not, want to laugh. I want to look there and take a good look and go, yeah, I'm proud of whatever I see there. Whatever it takes, something's gonna make you laugh, smile, something that's gonna tease yourself, but something's gonna move you to another level. If you identify yourself in a new way and you own that every day, and that becomes the standard of how you live, you'll find the way to make that standard real. Money's the same way. Think about it, it doesn't matter what's happening, quote unquote, in the marketplace. People that make money find a way to make money no matter what, don't they? I mean, most people's standard is to pay their bills. So that's what most people find a way to do, even when economic times get tough. Most people, if that's their absolute standard, they find a way. Some people's standard is pay their bills most of the time. And so most of the time they do. Some people's standard is not just to pay their bills, but to take care of their family and maybe even some of their friends. And they find a way. In fact, some people may be in a family where they don't have enough money. They barely have money to pay their bills. They work their guts out. And then somebody, their mother, their father, somebody else, their sister gets ill, and there's not enough money to take care of it. Nobody else has money in the family. They don't either, but they find a way to get that money to take care of their mother or father, don't they? And pay their bills. They never could do it before. Why? The situation made them raise their own standard. And not everybody does that. Somebody else in the family might have money and still not take care of their mother. It all comes down to the inner game, my friends. Changing your life is a change in the inner game. The outside world you can't control, but you have absolute control over this one if you learn the dynamics of what shapes you. And identity is one of those simple, clear, fundamental basics that if you start to shift it, everything else will shift in your life as well. Some people, by the way, have to have more than enough money to do what they want, when they want, where they want, with whomever they want, contribute the way they want. And if that's their must, they find a way. I know that sounds overly simplistic, but it's true. You know, somebody once said you could take all the money in the world out of the hands of everybody, out of all the wealthy people in the world who are really successful, give it to other people. It wouldn't take too long. Those people would have it back in their hands. It's not because they're manipulative. It's because they have a standard. Some are manipulative, don't get me wrong, but they got a standard of what they're going to find a way to make happen. I'm just simply saying to you, take those 3 magic words and live them. Raise your standard.
Let that little yellow dot on the screen represent your level of awareness. This represents your level of awareness. This is what you're aware of. Now, everything you've got in your life, everything, your relationships, your money, everything, is an expression of your own level of awareness. See, people that earn $50,000 a year are not earning 50 because they want 50. People are earning 50 because they're not aware of how to earn 150. People that are suffering from headaches, they're not suffering from headaches because they want to suffer from headaches. They're suffering from headaches because they're not aware of how to eliminate the headache. It's their head. They made it ache. They can make it stop. So you see, it's awareness we're after. Now think of this. If that little dot represents our awareness and it's responsible for everything we've got in life, just think of how your life could change if we magnify it just a little bit. I mean, everything would start to change. Our relationships would change. We would be healthier. We would live in healthier bodies. We would know more people. We'd earn more money. We'd be able to do more interesting things. And if we just increased it a little bit more, everything starts to shift. Well, I've been living this way now for 40 years. It's absolutely fascinating. I celebrated my 70th birthday last week. I got more energy than most people, 20. I have absolutely no intentions of slowing down. People should say, you should slow down. That's a bunch of crap. We should speed up. We've got more power. Do you know the most erudite scientist alive can't even guess at what you and I are capable of doing? No one knows what we're capable of. All the power is omnipresent. That's within you, within me. Slow down, we're just starting to warm up. What we want to do is calm down. You can go at warp speed and stay very healthy if you stay relaxed. And that's really the secret. Now just imagine we expand our awareness a little more. Do you know what this program is doing for you today? It's expanding your awareness. That's what the program is all about. Every time you come to one of these programs, your awareness is widened. Your world starts to change. You think, oh yeah, that's pretty interesting. And it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Our awareness keeps changing. Do you know that no one knows how much money you're capable of earning? There's no one can even guess at what you're capable of earning. We want to become aware. We're like we are because we're not aware of how to do it better. We know how to do it better. Every person in this room intellectually knows how to do a better job than they're doing. Everyone in the room knows how to earn more than they're earning, but they're not doing it. You see, having the knowledge is not the deal. Having the knowledge, I mean, I remember when I was a kid, a school teacher would say to me, Bob, why'd you do that? I'd say, I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? You know better. I know. Why'd you do it? I don't know. I was in the Navy. Every commanding officer, Proctor, why did you do that? I don't know, sir. What do you mean you don't know? You know better. I know. Why'd you do it? I don't know. You see, I didn't know why I was doing things. Do you know that we do things that we don't want to do? It gives us results we don't want to get, and we do them anyway. Do you know what addiction is? It's never getting enough of what you don't want. Again, a lot of people are addicted to results that they don't want. Why do we keep doing it? You see, I think when we start to see that, that's when we start to become aware of how to take control over our life. And that's really what we want to do. So you see, awareness is the big deal. We want to become aware of the obvious opportunities that are available to us. We are surrounded by opportunity. They're everywhere you go. There is an abundance, there's no shortage of opportunity. We can win, and we can win in a big way. Now, when we lack awareness, we miss the opportunity. I used to always say that, you know, the trick is to be in the right place at the right time. I've been in the right place at the right time many times in my life, but I blew it. You know why? Wasn't aware that I was in the right place at the right time. I had to look back at it. Think of it. There's something else. It's being aware that you're in the right place at the right time is not good enough. You've got to be aware that you're in the right place at the right time.
Chicken Soup for the Soul was rejected by 144 publishers. 144 publishers said, we don't want to publish a collection of short stories. The title's stupid, Chicken Soup for the Soul, what does that mean? People don't buy collections of short stories. There's never been, successful chain of doing that. So literally, we spent 14 months trying to find a publisher. And we'd go to New York with our agent, and eventually our agent gave us the book back and said, I can't sell this. So we went to the National Booksellers Association convention down in Anaheim. We went from booth to booth to booth for 3 days. And there were 4,000 publishers represented there. And we go, would you publish our book? Would you publish our book? Would you publish our book? And we got no, 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 no. It was late on the third day that a little publisher from Florida, after we'd gotten over 144 rejections, said, we'll read it. And then they said, we said, well, how many copies do you think we'll sell? After they said, yeah, we'll buy it. A couple weeks later, they said, we'll publish it. And they said, well, maybe 20,000 if we're lucky. Now we said, our goal is to sell 1.5 million in a year and a half. Now, have you ever told someone your dream and had them laugh out loud at you? He laughed out loud. Now, if we had given up after 100 publishers had said no, I wouldn't be standing here today. Wouldn't have happened. And so you've got to be willing to persevere. Because we didn't take no. See, when the world says no, you say next. Let's practice that. If I say no, you say? Yes. Absolutely. There's only 5 or 6 billion people out there you can go and ask, right? There's over 4,000 publishers just here in the state of California. So what we have is this endless possibility, but you have to persevere. It's as if the universe tests our commitment. And so today we have 147 titles in print. We sold over 115 million copies. We're in 47 languages. And over $1 billion worth of Chicken Soup for the Soul books have been sold worldwide. So if you're willing to decide what you want, believe it's possible, consciously envision the future, feel the feelings of what it would feel like if you had achieved this goal, you can have anything, and then you take action, both obvious actions and inspired actions. You can do anything.